Young girls, don't worry, you're not alone in the fight. The broken, the unspoken, we can't heal if the wound is open. It looks like no one here to see your heart bleed. You cry with no when you when the wrong, the pain in life I can't see. To gain further on in the day. Be strong, be brave. You're too far away to the grave. Stand tall. We are here. We don't know the spirit of fear. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. Liberia, Liberia, when will we stop being Liberia? I wanna know, children straying from their innocence. It feels like no one here to see your heart is bleeding. You cry and ignored when you are ill. When the wrong, the pain and lies I kept to see. To gain further on benefit. Be strong, be brave. You're too far away from the grave. Stand tall. We are here. We don't know the spirit of fear. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. Liberia, we can't give up. Liberia, we can't give up. Liberia, we can't give up. Sing a little louder. Turn their back. Young girls, don't cry. You're not alone in the fight.
I hear you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Tony Commander Galpohkpa Chesson Talk Show. The weekend is upon us. Today is the 11th of September. A very special day in our history. On this day, America changed. On this day, we lost patriots. And to remember this day and the many lives of patriot Americans that were lost on 9/11, I want us to take a few seconds of silence to remember this day. May the souls of all those who departed from us and loved ones on this day so many years ago continue to rest in perfect peace, both in heaven and in the hearts of their loved ones. Aluta! Continua. Well, my people, ceremonies will be going on today throughout the United States of America. I think it started at 5 o'clock this morning. Our president will be on at 8 or sometime thereafter. And throughout the various states, people will have programs remembering this day in American history. So let's begin my lesson. My topics for today are: 1, will the coalition of political parties, CPP, of Liberia hold? 2, Liberian culture versus Liberians' future, collective future. 3, will Liberia remain stable until 2023? That's Liberia, not Liberians. Okay, let's get into my first topic. What is happening in our country? What is happening with the people we look forward to lead our country into a new era? We see every day that the current president of Liberia, George Weah, is not presidential material. He's not even societal material. With the news that been coming out about this President George Weah, his supernatural practices, his murderous practices against the people he's supposed to be leading, protecting. George Weah is condemned. He's condemned. So who will lead us if this man ever survives to 2023? Who will lead us? I was listening to Fani Saki today, one of the podcasters from Liberia, and he was talking the same thing. Did these people really need to form a coalition to beat George Weah? Did they really need a coalition? That's a big question. Because as Saki pointed out, George Weah CDC alone could not garner 35% of the total votes. So he was not a formidable force in any electoral process. So why did these four political parties feel the need to come together to fight George Weah? Now here they are together, four different personalities, four different people with different ideals can come together with a common mind. And where does the problem lie? We look at Joe Barker, UP. We look at Benana, ALP. We look at Nyambi Kanga, LP. And we look at Elliot Cummings Radio, ANC. Now, Elliot Cummings is supposed to be the promising young man, supposedly rich. People denying that now. Excuse me. Big experienced corporate manager of Coca-Cola International Africa. And he's supposed to be bringing all his wealth of knowledge and leadership and experience to this new dispensation that's supposed to be evolving out of the CPP political party. But here we are again, Liberian people, Liberian educated people, cannot sit down like real men and women and agree on things. Their egos cannot permit them to behave with sincerity and honesty and trustworthiness. What is this? Is this a fault of the education? Or is this a part of the traits, characteristics, upbringing? What is the problem? Despite the fact that these people did not even have to come together to fight George Weah. Now that they're together, they can't even sit together and follow rules and regulations. They can't. And here we are again. They have this meeting to come to a consensus of what they should do to continue on the process of the coalition. They sit together. Normally, Kanga, the woman there, who's supposed to be the current head of the thing, her leadership is supposed to be expiring at the end of this month. And Boka is supposed to be taking over on October 1st as head of the coalition. But for some reason, normally Kanga could not complete the processes of her administration because of COVID-19. And they all had come to this meeting to seek an extension of her term for one more month for her to complete everything before George Boka takes over in November. So they come sit down. They discuss everything. Now I read Providence. Front Page Africa. Front Page Africa was not explicit in its explanation as to what occurred during this whole process. According to Front Page Africa, Cummings got pissed off because they wanted an extension for Nombi Kanga. And Cummings said that it is against the rule, that it violated Section 9.3.3 of the CPP Framework Agreement, which states that each of the parties heads will head the coalition for X number of time. And each one of them will not relinquish their term nor serve any other person's term until each of them has completed their term of service. Now, the last person to do their service is Borka. Borka's term of leadership of the CPP starts October 1. They called this meeting because Nombi Kanga, who is the current head, has certain unfinished business, and she needs an additional 30 days extension to complete it. So they sat in this meeting. Now, I may be mistaken, but nowhere in Front Page Africa report that I hear that Cummings had agreed with the other people in the initial reporting. When they talked about when Cummings walked out of the meeting, Front Page Africa did not explain that, as I have learned since reading the newspaper and listening to other reports, that at this meeting, they all came to the agreement that Nombi Kanga term will be extended for another 30 days for her to complete her work that she did not complete during her term of leadership because of the COVID-19 virus. So, according to reports from the various talk shows I've been hearing, all of these four people agreed for Nombi Kanga term to be extended for 30 days. And thereafter, Joseph Boca would assume his leadership of the CPP. That was the consensus. Everybody left the meeting. They say when they left, Elliot Cummings went and changed his mind. He wrote Nombi Kanga a letter objecting to the whole process and blah, 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 blah. So when they met again, I don't know whether before this or after this, he walked out of the meeting yesterday. So here we are again to the same issue that has plagued Liberian leadership for so long. Immaturity, deceitfulness, lack of trust, lack of sincerity. People can't sit down together and make decisions and stick to it. I mean, this whole coalition got problem. Liberty Party got problem. Unity Party got problem. I mean, this is unbelievable. And all these problems revolve around agreements, constitution, framework agreement, people writing things together and putting things down that they can't follow. So, this problem is not only about Elliot Cummings, gets problem by the whole coalition. This division and deceitfulness, insincerity, untrustworthiness has been existing since the people got together. Now they're getting close to the election. It's becoming worse. And we got to sit down and watch this foolishness and listen to the ritualistic bullshit on the other side. And see our children heads being killed and our virgins bodies being mutilated. Crimes being carried on in our nation because our leaders are not leaders. Our leaders are immature and don't know the significance of the fact that they're leading millions of people who depending on them for the daily bread and sustenance. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. So are these people going to keep on with this coalition that apparently has some serious problems? And even though the front page Africa did mention that jury stated that they had agreed, that company did agree, but they talked that in the last paragraph or so. But in the initial paragraph, they explained everything. Then it came to the end after they talked about Cummings walking out and citing section 9.3.3 and another section 11 point something about the coalition not meeting up to its framework agreement and all of that. Then they talk about in the last two paragraphs about how Ben and I, USA, yes, they did come to an agreement. And Nyumdi Kanga also mentioned that it was an agreement. I saw another video later on where all three of them sitting down, Borka, Nyumdi Kanga, and Bury talking about Cummings walking out and the whole process. Well, if it's as they say it happened, that Alec Cummings sat there and agreed on everything they discussed. Then when he left, he cited these sections and kicked against his own agreement. That's a problem. And this is the problem with our leaders. And these are the same people hoping to beat George Weah in 2023. These are the same people want us to depend on them for positive leadership, positive change, better governance than George Weah. How can we depend on these people? Our country is with our leadership. Because you all know we can't vote for George Weah in 2023. Now with all these kind of things coming up about him, he needs to go to jail. If these things must be investigated, all this killing, all the Solicitor General, McGill, George Weah, all of them got to be investigated about this ritualistic killing business. They got to. Alan Cochrane, when I just say that thing, and the Solicitor General silence during that whole process tells us something that needs more investigation, interrogation. Our leaders can't be the very people killing our people. Just make juju to stay in power. What has our country become? Yes, we always had juju and all the things, but now it's so prevalent. It's so prevalent and I mean it's so wicked now. We gotta bring this thing back under control. Everybody can't just have churches Our leaders can't use the church as a political stepping stone. And yet people go to church and prostrate in front of George Weah. Prostrate in front of this man. Our Christian church is a mockery. And God does not like evil. People will be punished. Our nation will be punished. Can we go through more punishment? How much more can we suffer because of the ignorance and blindness of our own people? Y'all better open your eyes. There is no way y'all can see the killing and the evil going on with this leadership and government and think it's good and think we're living well. You hear the people talking about killing our virgins and taking their heads for juju and demanding more money. And here we are, the opposition party. These four educated people can't come together and make any damn decision and stick to it. Who are these people leading our country today? Do we have leaders? Do we have real men and women in our country today? That's my question I throw to you for answer. I want answer. You got to answer my question. What is all this? What is all this? If these people cannot lead our country, why Eric Tom, Dick, and Harry won't be leader of Liberia? Why? You know, it is not only it. People still calling me today, telling me they won't be presidents of Liberia. They want my opinion. And the people who calling me never been Liberia for years. But they still got ambition of being president of Liberia. We are in deep shit. Deep. There are people calling me now, want my opinion and support to be president of Liberia. And these people never been in our country for years. But they still got to believe that they'll be leaders. What kind of insanity is this? And people say, seeing the same thing happen with Cummings. Oh, Cummings just came from abroad. He did corporating. He just came. He didn't even serve nowhere else. He just want to jump straight to the presidency. How sure he knows the people of Liberia? How sure he understand the players? Look, you got to understand the players. That's off the bat. That's off the bat. You can't come from years of being outside and just come and don't know the players. And that's what is happening. Because Cummings is getting to know the players now. He getting to know people like Benin Ayure. He getting to know people like Boka. He getting to know people like Kanga. He getting to know Liberian people now. Perhaps he didn't know all of these people. And he's still confused. Because if he's sitting with these people and agree to what they tell him, then he leaves and go outside and realizes, no, something was wrong. I didn't agree with it. So let me write them. I tell them, no, I don't agree. That's childishness. That's childishness. And that's what differentiates public leadership from corporate leadership. So you got to understand, when you make a decision, it's made. It's made. Your pride, your prestige, your integrity, your character, everything rests on it. As a leader especially. Because if you can't stick to your word, how can you lead us? How can we trust you? And we still suffer from trust issues from Tottenham to this very day. We still have trust issues. We still have lies issues. We still have untrustworthiness issues, deceitfulness issues. That's why Liberian people still can't come together. Because too much lies, too much deceitfulness, too much crookery, too much evil have existed among us. And now we find it hard to trust each other, to believe what each other say. And it can't go on. It can't go on. It can't go on. It has to cease and desist. It's a societal problem. And all of us got to stand up and fight it. All of us got to fight it. Because if we don't fight it, we will not breed leaders in our country. If we don't fight it, we will not breed people to stand up and lead us to a brighter air and era. So it's a challenge for us. Each and every day, each and every day, each and every day, each and every day, each and every day is a challenge. And we got to meet that challenge. Because if we don't meet that challenge, our country fails. And we fail too, our future fails. So it's upon us. It's upon us. If we don't make it happen, it will not happen. Okay? So if CPP cannot hold together, it best that they break off. Because from the way they're going right now, from the kind of animosity, Benin is saying something, Cummings rejecting it, they're coming to this meeting to form peace, they're deciding on something, Cummings going back on it, kicking it against everybody again, now they're fussing, coming to trying to make up again. This can't go on forever. This can't go on continually. It must cease and desist. So, where do we start? Where do we start? We got to come to some focal point. We got to come to some point where against all else we put our country first and our people's dreams and aspirations before them and before us. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And we got to meet this challenge. Okay? So let me go to my second lesson. When we see all these kind of things happening with our leadership failure, we see our societal failure, we see how our society has gone amok. People are talking about juju and killing people, and life seems to have no significance in our country. We look at our government stealing the wealth of our country. Now they are taking $800 million from this Mattel mining company. And they, in the deal, they have enriched themselves above the Liberian people for $800 million. They have traded everything we own in our country. So if we have this kind of leadership, that is all about greed, that is all about nepotism, that is all about animosity and hatred, how can we excel? How can we as a people grow and prosper? How can we as a nation say we got a culture that is worth following? When our culture, through all indications, impact our lives, our characters, our sense of integrity. Because if our cultural practices do not conform to our system of leadership and governance and protection and security, if our cultural norms are against our system of democracy and leadership and protection and education, if our cultural norms are antagonistic to everything we do as a society under our system of democracy and leadership and progress and advancement and so, how can we go on? There is a failure to communicate, a failure to interact, a failure of our cultural system and our leadership system in error. How can our country progress and advance? So there is a great divide between our culture, our system of leadership and governance, our system of democracy, our system of honesty and trustworthiness, our system of national security. There's a big divide. And once there's a big divide, we cannot exist as a sovereign nation and people. And our national security is threatened. Our survival as a people and nation and society threatened. Threatened. And we can't continue on this path. We can't continue on this path. Our cultural practices, our cultural behaviors, our cultural interactions with our mainstream society got to be consistent and continual. And in agreement with each other. Just like our Constitution, just like there's nothing that can be against our Constitution that will stand. Anything that is against the Constitution will fall because it is the highest law of the land. And so must our culture be consistent with our constitutional mandates. And if they do conform to it, and we got laws and order on this side, but yet we got ritualistic practices and witchcraft and killing that we consider normal under our traditional practices that are antagonistic to our system of law and order. There's a problem. There's a serious problem. And this is where we are today. Because on some of our cultural practices, we find it commonplace to kill people, to use their blood for juju, to seek positions using supernatural means that are antagonistic to the laws, to the Constitution and good governance and protection of our citizens. There's a problem when our culture versus the future of our people has a conflict in error. And as Liberians, we got to pay attention to it. We got to pay attention to it. Because there's no way our country, look at our culture now. All the way we hear our president taking virgin heads to make juju to stay in power. Our people not ready to move by it. Yeah, some people talking about it, but our society not ready to move about it. If we will move about it, I listened to Tune TV last night. I listened to Keith Hassan and all those useless people. None of them talking about the juju thing. All of them were talking about election. Who will go win? Who will go? This juju thing and our president killing our people for ritualistic killing has no impact or significance on them. None at all. They don't even want to talk about it. They prefer to leave it alone and talk about politics. When the very lives of our people and our nation hangs in a balance. You see how it is? Why? There's no doubt that they are the same cultural people and they may be practicing the same thing. There's no doubt about it. So why talk about it? Why talk about it? But we stand we here, but I think, and our Solicitor General is still working today. Our president is still president today, and our people not in an uproar. Our people still looking for things to go do to have fun. But anyway, this is what it all boils down to, man. This is what it all boils down to. We have no consciousness of the things around us that are harmful to us, that are evil to us, that are detrimental to us, and wicked. As long as it doesn't bother us personally, to hell with it. Until it comes around. Okay? So, that brings me to my last topic now. Will Liberia remain stable under 2023? That's a very big question. And I don't want to be the one to say, oh, they were happy, that will happen. And people say, oh, Chesson jinxed us, he jinxed us, the man don't like us, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't want to be the one to say that. But we got to be mindful of what we do. Testing. And we can do this for our people. We can do this for Liberia. Will we remain stable until 2023? The challenge is ours. The challenge is ours. Sometimes just locks my mouth. Sometimes just shuts me up cold. When I think all the things that go on in my country. When I think all the evil that we gotta endure. Will we remain stable until 2023? Will we remain stable until 2023? That's a question I will leave you all with now. That is a question I will leave you with now. Because we can talk all we want. We can write all we want. We can believe all we want. We not achieve anything. Words were deeds. Leave the dreams by the wayside. That's it for the night, people. Let me go home. Let me take my day off and chill out. I see you on Monday morning.